Okay. Afternoon, everyone. You all able to hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Hope everybody's okay. Staying safe and all that. This week's tutorial will be just talking a bit on your submissions, your draft report submissions. I'll be using a couple of your draft reports as examples during this tutorial session. But if there are places where other groups think that they can also improve, or they've made the same mistake and they need to change it, then hopefully this session is beneficial to everybody. Before I start, I just want to make it very clear that I'm not trying to pick on anybody. I'm not trying to isolate any group or single them out. I'm just trying to give constructive criticism or show you places where you've gone wrong along the way. So I hope we can all take it professionally and there are no hard feelings. Okay. So before I start, I just want to talk a little bit on Turnitin and how it works. So Turnitin basically is a plagiarism software. Every time someone uploads something to Moodle, it runs through Turnitin. Turnitin cross-checks your work with the work of others who have submitted something to USB over time. So it's not just this year, it's last year, years before that, ever since we've had Turnitin. It also checks online references and then it comes up with a number, a figure. And that figure tells you how much of your work has been plagiarized or how much of the report you have plagiarized from someone else. Okay. So in USB, the maximum is usually 20%, but for engineering, it's 15%. Okay. Is that clear? So for engineering reports, the maximum plagiarism that you can have is 15. Anything over 15 and you will fail. We won't even mark your project or your assignment or anything. If it's 50%, more than 15% plagiarized, it's out the window. We don't even consider it. Okay. Now, there is one group in this session that I would like to show what you should not do. Okay, and I think you know yourselves. This is Ismail and Dem's group. Unfortunately, they thought that they might be able to beat the system and submit a project that they did last year as their own genuine work this year. And now this is not just the fault of the person who is repeating the course, but also the whole group, because the whole group is complete. And I will show you how we find out exactly where you've plagiarized from. So we simply go to Turnitin report, and we get the feedback. Once we're here, it shows us all the sources that you've copied from. And you can see that 61% is all from one report. We can then isolate that report. So let's go down to, and everywhere where it's highlighted, those are bits that are plagiarized. And the design brief, literature review, and design criteria, word for word, lifting. Okay. And how do I know who has done it? We can just click on the source. And then it says a student paper submitted to the University of South Pacific. We can click on that. And we can see everywhere that you have plagiarized. Okay, so this is a very extreme case of plagiarism because it is word for word exactly something that you submitted last year. If I could just... And it tells us the date that it was submitted and everything. And we can download the original, the paper. Okay, so if you think you're going to be able to get away with this kind of sidestepping the project, you're very wrong. And if this is your second time repeating the course, unfortunately, you'll be repeating this course for a third time. But it's not too late. You guys can still make changes. So this is the original report. As you can see, it bears very close resemblance to the original, to the one that you've resubmitted. So am I clear to Isimeli and the other group members? You have to basically start from scratch. Okay, and these kinds of issues are disciplinary issues, and they will be elevated to the higher ranking staff members, such as the course coordinator, and then he will decide on the path forward. So if I reach out to either of you, any of the group members, Isimeli or anybody else in that group, we may need to form a private Viber chat and include Dr. Kabir and discuss a way forward. We just formatted last week because we just had no groups. Have you been attending tutorials? Oh, you're part of the Monday session. Oh, okay. Right. You were the one with the issue with your group members not cooperating. Okay, then how did you get in to be part of the group that's on Friday? Okay. Well, we still may need to form a chat with Dr. Kabir, just to find out what we can do to form your group properly. Okay, so it's not too late. There's still lots of time to get a good project together. But I just want to show everybody else that if you're trying to plagiarize, that we can catch you and there will be severe punishment. Okay, let's look at a project example from this session. So this is Veron Kumar's. It's okay, Ismail, it's not too late. I hadn't realized that you were I hadn't connected the dots that you were from the Monday session. I know about your issue. So don't worry, we will figure something out for you and your group members, okay? Okay, but everybody else in this group, were they? Okay, never mind. I will contact you directly after this session. Okay, so this group, Veron, Ravishek, Vilimina, and Koraumbara. Your group, you are trying to design a home security system for a 3-bedroom house.
Yes,
So
sir.
let's have a look through. I have to say that you guys have formatted your paper very well. I had a look through, and I think you're the only group so far that's properly used all of the Microsoft tools to format your paper. So good job there. Yeah, so far you're the only team that's been able to come up with the table of contents using Microsoft. I had a read introduction, and your introduction was pretty good. I just feel like maybe you need to talk a little bit about the design process that you're using to come up with the solution. Sorry. You might need to just talk a little bit about the design process that you use. So the 7 steps and the tools that we have used throughout this project to help come up with the final solution. So that's namely AutoCAD, yeah? So I might just have to elaborate a bit about that. But other than that, I think your introduction is very good. The whole point of the introduction is to try and lead you in to what you're to expect from the rest of the project. Okay, so if after reading the introduction, you get a general idea of what this project will be about and what we can expect from the rest of this project, then it's a good introduction. So just include a little bit about the design process and the tools, and I think this introduction is good.
Okay, sir.
Problem statement. Now, your problem statement, you started very broad, and I like that. I recommended that everybody start with a very broad problem, but I feel like you guys need to narrow it down at some point here, okay? You've talked about how security systems make lives easier for everybody, and that's true. But you now have to start talking about a specific house, because it says a 3-bedroom house, and I've seen your possible solutions. You've all used the same basic house as the footprint for the house, and then you've placed your sensors.
Yes,
but you need to maybe include a picture here of what the house is that you're trying to design the security system for. You know, you can include pictures in your problem statement, that's fine. And in your case, I would recommend that you include the picture of the floor plan of the house. You know, how many people live in this house? What area is it? What area is it in Fiji? What's the crime rate? You know, make it more specific, more detailed.
Okay, sir.
Number one comment for your problem statement. But other than that, I like the way that you've started your problem statement. Design brief. I feel like this design brief is it's short and to the point. You don't have to put aim. Okay. Oh, design brief. The aim of this project is to design an effective and reliable home security system. Design must work during power outages, must have a great functionality, and provide the best safety. Okay, that's fine for a design brief. It's just supposed to be short, to the point. Your background research. I'm not sure how deep you guys went with your background research. I don't think you guys have really gone in depth yet, have you?
Yes, we just did a bit of, we'll add on to that part later. So will it be okay?
Yeah, that's fine. I just wanted to make sure that this is not where you're gonna stop. You're gonna keep on adding.
Yes, sir.
Okay, it's a good start. I expect to see the different types of sensors in your background research. You know,
okay.
Home security is such a big issue all around the world, and you're right when you say that it's a big problem. So talk about the different types of security systems that are already in place around the world, how effective they are, the corresponding crime rates in those areas where they're implemented. You know, there's a lot of things that you could research. Yeah. And I feel like for your project especially, the research will be the most important aspect of your design. Because for you guys, you can't actually design the sensor, okay? It'll be too difficult for you to try and design the sensor, or for you to try and design the light system or whatever. For your most important aspect of your project will be your background research. And how will you research? Into how to place your different sensors around the house. Okay, so your background research is going to be the backbone of your project. Yours specifically.
Okay, sir.
It won't be the case for everybody. Everybody, most other groups have like a machine that they have to design. So theirs will be more on the detailed drawings. Yours will be more on the research and where to place your sensors. Okay. So good start to your literature review. Design criteria. I feel like you need a lot more design criteria.
Yes, I don't do that later.
Okay, sure. If you need any idea as to what to add to design criteria, for a home security system, I would initially think that the main issue would be cost. Because, you know, not everybody can afford it. So you have to try and make it affordable. So your design criteria, I should think you would talk about how can you make a very effective home security system, but also have it cost not too much. Make it, you know, a feasible thing for any family to have. Especially families that live in these areas where it's a high crime rate, because they're usually low income. So they need a cheap option, but a cheap and effective option. So I feel like those kind of points you should be putting in design criteria. Possible solutions. I think this is the best way that you can go about doing your possible solutions, just doing a floor plan and then stating where you're going to place your sensors and all that. Again, you can't just place them randomly. You have to give us distances because, you know, motion sensors have ranges. All these different things have ranges. So you have to be able to put them in the most effective places. Possible solutions are pretty good. 1, 2, 3 possible solutions. Your evaluation, I feel, is the bit that's lacking the most in your project so far. So the evaluation is probably the most important aspect of all projects across the board. Doesn't matter what you're doing. Evaluation is where you justify why you give a certain score to a certain design in a certain category. So for example, possible solution 1, you've given a score of 2 for installation. You have to justify, you have to say, why did we give a score of 2 for possible solution 1? Why did we give a score of 3 for possible solution 1? And so on and so forth. Because if not, it just looks like someone just came, put a bunch of random numbers inside a table, and then decided, okay, we're just going to take possible solution 3 as the best one. You have to justify why are you giving those different scores. If you do that very well, and this goes for the same for every other group, if you do the evaluation very well, your project is solid. Okay? Evaluation is the one that we look at probably the most because that's the tipping point in the design process, okay? That's where you decide, okay, this is the idea that I want to go forward with. So I hope this criticism is constructive to you guys and you guys are able to move forward. Like I said, if you have any, once you've gotten the feedback and you make the changes and you want me to check again, next week, the week after that, if you want to send it back to me, I can have another look before you submit for your final. I'm just doing this for only my sessions, okay? Other sessions with other tutors, I'm not too sure. But I want to make sure you guys fully grasp all the concepts of the design process. So I'll be happy to take a second look if you'd like.
Okay, see.
So the other groups in this session, don't worry, I'll get around to reviewing yours and I'll try and send you back all the feedback by the end of the weekend so that you can make the changes next week. And I think the final submission is in week 12, I believe, with a question and answer section, question and answers session scheduled for week 13 at the moment. That's how it's looking. So hopefully everybody's still working on their detailed drawings at the moment, doing some detailed drawings in AutoCAD. If you don't have access to AutoCAD, none of your group members have access to AutoCAD, then I think we will start to accept very neat hand sketches, of course, using proper tools, so proper TD techniques. I think that might be an option, but Dr. Kabir will announce it officially. I will just show you a quick example of a design project that I've worked on before, just so you can see what all the steps look like up until the evaluation, if you're still a bit unsure as to what is to be done. Okay, so this is a project that that myself and a bunch of other people worked on in my third year of studies. We had to design a picking arm, a picking mechanism for a robot. So we started off by specifying our problem. So we came up with the problem. The problem was given to us by the Robocon competition. And from there, we decided our specifications. So you can also list your specifications in a table. It's not necessary that you have to do it in point form. You can put it in a table. However you'd like to represent your information, it's up to you. Literature review. The main point that I've seen from a lot of literature reviews is nobody likes to use pictures. And for some reason, I don't understand why people don't like to use pictures. They'd rather write full-on paragraphs and try and describe the thing that they're talking about, when you could simply just put a picture, a caption, a short figure number with a caption and reference, and then a brief explanation about what that picture is. It's so much more effective, because not all the time are your audience engineers. Most of the time you're talking to stakeholders, investors, just the public, and they usually don't care about big paragraphs. They'd rather just see a picture and, straight to the point. So the use of pictures is very effective. I would recommend it. So for this thing, we broke it down into the two major components. So we looked at the arm, and then grippers and end effectors. Then we started to look into a little bit of the analysis and the mathematics that would be needed to analyze. For you guys, you don't have to worry about the analysis. So this is a step called idea generation. And this comes just after you've done your literature review. And this is where you compile all of your ideas. So how we do it in the design process that we have, we go from step 1, and then step 2 is brainstorming. Yeah? Now this is basically brainstorming, but writing it all down. And this is called idea generation or concept development. So some groups have gone ahead and done a concept development, and it just helps to add a little bit more definition to your project. So if you can do that, that's a great addition. And this comes before you do your possible solutions. So all you talk about here is all the major ideas that you've taken from your research and you'd like to incorporate into your design. You talk about the different combinations that you can make. Please, whenever you use information from outside sources, please remember to reference. Referencing is a big part of any academic paper or academic report that you'll be submitting for the next 4 years. And then you come up with your possible solutions based off of the research and the ideas that you've selected in your concept development. You have your possible solutions. And then finally, a critical design analysis. And this is basically where you start talking about why did we give a certain score for a certain design, okay? So we talk in depth about how the design we think is gonna work, and what are the pros of it, what are the cons of it, what are the things we'd like to change about our possible solution. You list those all down for each possible solution. And finally, at the end of it, you have a weighted decision matrix. And that is where you tally up the scores. And then at the end of it, you know which design is the best. And then you simply just summarize the information that you get from your table. Okay, so as you can see, it's the same fundamental steps as the design process that you guys use, just maybe a little bit more in depth, but the bones are exactly the same. Okay, and just because this is done in third year, I mean, there's no limitation on the human brain. doesn't mean because we're a bit older that we know more. That's rubbish in my opinion. I think you guys can be just as good, if not better, in whatever you do in first year. So I have full confidence in you guys. If there are no questions, thank you very much for attending this session. Please just leave your ID number in the chat so that I can take your attendance. Okay, guys. Thank you very much. Have a blessed weekend.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.